Hey, what's up? Welcome to Crypto Corner Sat Stacker for Saturday, September 27th. Going to be diving into 20 different cryptocurrencies in this video. Timestamps to them down below if you want to skip ahead to your favorite crypto. But before I get into the charts, get into my thoughts, I just wanted to give a brief overview of my thesis and also, just take a step back, look at the markets, because I think that, this could be a renewal of my thesis effectively. And so I'm really excited about that. I wanted to go over it with you guys. And so if you have not seen it, I would encourage checking out this video, Happy Easter, which came out on Easter on 4/20. I like to call it Easter because I laid out my thesis for why I thought Ethereum could be bottoming around that time. If we look at the chart in the background, a screenshot taken when that video was put out. And, I was talking about how I thought Ethereum could be bottoming around 1400. And really, I just kind of realized this video that I put out a couple days ago, also a link in the description to that video if you want to check out either of those. I think that they're just really great content, really interesting. And basically the same thing is kind of happening again, a confluence of levels suggesting that the bottom could be in and that we could be seeing ETH going a lot higher along with Bitcoin, along with alts, memes, whatnot. And so, yeah, my thesis is effectively renewed right now. And also, if you do want to get into like more of the deeper dive kind of risk management aspects of my thesis, I used to go over it at the beginning of these Crypto Corner Sat Stackers, but it just became kind of redundant. And so there is a link in the description of this video to the most recent Crypto Corner Sat Stacker that I did go over the breakdown of my thesis, percentage gains I'm shooting for, stuff like that. So you might want to check that one out just to look at the intro of that video. But anyways, before I get into kind of a market overview, thinking about this Ethereum thesis that I put out on Easter, that is really just based on, as you can see in the chart here, the trend line that goes across at around 1400. That was the approximate top, just, at Ed's head right there, the top at the end of 2017. And then also we have this green trend line here going from a pivot high to a pivot low and intersecting with 1400 after we had broken below this trend line based on prior lows. And so that I viewed as a fake out breakdown coming into more robust support, and that we could be going effectively to $8,000 based on this red trend line back here intersecting with the tops from 2021, as well as that high from the end of 2017. But this is looking at it on the linear scale. If we look at it on the log scale, that same trend line, that would suggest a price target approaching 20,000, somewhat in line with Tom Lee's estimates, going from 10 to 15,000 by the end of the year. And so I think that $8,000 price target for Ethereum for 2025, that I think is actually fairly conservative, which is pretty awesome considering that ETH's right around 4,000 now. So that's just about a 2x. But then also, a big part of the thesis was all of the memes that were coming out being bearish on ETH. We've now switched to being kind of, more bullish and then seeing a pullback. So, not really too surprising there. But yeah, the video here, again, link in the description. It's only about 4 minutes long. I give a really nice, concise breakdown. And so I would encourage checking that out. But before we get into the charts, I did just want to pull up some data from CoinGlass. You guys might be familiar with this table, but looking at it, this is the Bitcoin monthly returns. And so September is notorious for being pretty bad for the Bitcoin crypto market, whatnot. It's referred to as Rectember, but that is typically followed by Uptober. And also the fourth quarter of the year, which is supposed to also be very good. So I'll go over quarterly returns in a minute, but I did just want to point out that for September, on average, typically we see drawdowns of about 3.39%, which if we look across the board on average, September is the worst month of the year for Bitcoin's performance. But if we look at the median, that's nearly the worst month. Passed only by December at 3.22% down. September is 3.12% down. And actually, I'm incorrect about that. I was just noticing this negative sign here. The median for August, negative 7.49%. So that is pretty massive to the downside. But yeah, other than that, effectively, we have the worst months behind us now. September's nearly over, Rectember, and August is also behind us. And if we look across the board, October and November are positive, up by at least 10% per month. But really, that seems like, we could be surprised in November with a 46% up. So I think things for Bitcoin looking really good in the months ahead. And then if we do look over at Ethereum, we can see that for September, it has been down. And actually, 1 second, September up 1.12% for Bitcoin. And I should note that, the month's not over, so this could end up being red, but this is not so bad for September being, the worst month of the year. Based on the average and the median, September is a really great performer for Bitcoin so far this year. Bitcoin is a great performer in September so far this year. But yeah, looking over at the ETH data, what we can see here is for September, down 8%, so not looking so great there. The average is down 6.61%, whereas the median is down 10.43%. And if we look across the board, let's see, the median, worst month of the year is September. If we look across the board for the average, let's see. September is the second worst, down at 6.61%, but June is actually even worse, down at 6.85%. So taking a step back, looking at this, we have the worst months behind us. Now let's look forward into October, November, and December. What we can see is for the average, Ethereum goes up at least 4% each month. So that looks good, up to the upside. But then if we look at the median, we can see that we could see a pretty big spread. Highest up about 8%, lowest down by 6.32%, and that again is the median. But looking at the months up here, we could be seeing upside moves in the 40% range, on a monthly basis. We could also see a pretty big drawdown. We could even see 70% for one of the months here. So whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other cryptocurrency, I think that we are entering into a very exciting time of the year. And if I do scroll up, we could look at the quarterly returns for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what we see over here is the average for Bitcoin for Q4 is 85% to the upside, whereas the median is up 52%. So that is looking really good. Also, if we look at, the 2 months here that were green, when we've seen 2 months green in the past, not 2 months, 2 quarters, so Q2 and Q3 being green. The Q4 up 200% here, up 168% here. Maybe we see 100% up. That would be kind of going with that trend. But yeah, I think that we could be looking at some really nice upside for Bitcoin. Then looking at Ethereum into Q4, but actually before we get to that, let's look at Q3. We've seen up about 7% on the average, up about 8% on the median. But so far, Q3 for Ethereum is anomalously high, 61%. And if we look down, the prior 2 quarters, Q2 and now at the end of Q3, both of these being green, every time we have seen both of those quarters, be green, we have seen a Q4 with some pretty notable upside, at least 22%. So I think that things are looking really good for Ethereum as well, although the average returns and the median returns are not as good as they are for Bitcoin. For Ethereum, the average is about 24%. For the median, it's about 23% to the upside. So generally, I am excited to be entering Q4 and, at the end of one of the worst months. Of course, Ethereum is down 8%, but that's after having 2 months being very, very green. And really, across the board, the past 4 months, 5 months, we have generally seen uptrends, with June being the only outlier, and I guess September as well. But yeah, 3 out of the past 5 months have been very, very green. So I think that things are looking really good. And then switching back over to Bitcoin, up 1% on what is notorious for being the worst month of the year. I think that we are doing great. And then before I forget, I did also want to point out the Fear and Greed Index. This is coming from CoinMarketCap. We are in fear at 34. So, well, we might be scared. We might be thinking that the bottom is never ending. This is actually a really good time to be accumulating, whether it's aggressively buying the dip or just accumulating. We can see it with the data over here, and I might actually just switch this so we're not getting the pop-up. Every time it's been in the green, in the fear, which is going to be orange or red, that would be extreme fear, that has been a good time to accumulate Bitcoin. In the gray there over here where it's orange, that was when we saw, or before we saw this big rally here, back into the orange. Great time to be accumulating. Again here, even just a little blip. Good times to be accumulating before big moves to the upside, although we are lower than the little dip here. I think there's going to be a lot of great upside. And so now let's come back to this and come to the table. And so I will be going over my plans for the next week with all of these different cryptos. And so just a quick overview here. What we can see is that some of them swapped order. And that is just because effectively I had a buy on Fartcoin that was filled. And then from the dollar cost averaging that I've been doing over here, I got Aave to surpass Pepe and Trump, which was the goal of mine because Fartcoin moved up. Litecoin ended up moving down a little bit. And then other than that, I did have some dip buys for RLC, LRC, and Doge filled, including Fartcoin, as I had mentioned. I didn't get to trim any Ethereum Classic over the past week. I should have trimmed more aggressively when I was at break even or at about 10% up. But, oh well, it is what it is. And then also I have been doing the daily dollar cost average for Bitcoin and Ethereum, $40 a day via Strike for Bitcoin, via Robinhood for Ethereum. Exchanges links are in the description of this video. If you sign up with any of these, I think we each get a little bit of something. The way that I'm storing my cryptos is on the Trezor hardware wallet. You can find those via Trezor.io. I use the Trezor Model 1 as well as the Trezor Safe 3. They've worked out great for me, and any complaints that I have with them are fairly minor, and I think that you're probably going to have that across the board. Trezor has a legacy. They've been around for a while, and I trust them. And that's where I store my coins. And then looking at, all of the levels from last week, I'm going to have to go over this because I kind of changed some things, how I do things. Effectively, levels that were hit, support that I bought, are in green that I was hoping would be support. We broke through pretty much all of them. And then the levels that we went through that I didn't buy and or don't plan on buying are either going to be in yellow or red, and then resistance to the upside, white. Orders that I plan on placing, yellow or red. Orders I don't plan on placing. But yeah, that's kind of the overview over here. So now I am just going to dive into the different tickers on the list, beginning, of course, with Bitcoin, which is ticker symbol BTC, as I'm sure we're all aware. So let's populate that market cap data. And we can come over here to see Bitcoin at the top of the list. Market cap is just shy of $2.2 billion. I'm imagining it's red for the week. And we can see that, not too surprised there. So if we look at last week, market cap for Bitcoin was $2.3 trillion. If I said billion, I meant trillion. And so now it's sub 2.2 trillion. So, you know, that, to be honest, I'm not too surprised by that at all with what we've seen in the market. And then coming over to the chart here, let's populate the closing data from Friday, September 26th. The closing price there, 109,697.29. 109,697.29. 109,697.29. I got that right. And that is down, which is pretty disappointing. But I am up 14% in my position. $40 daily cost averaging has been good for me. While I've been up more in the past, I'm not sweating it on the pullback. And, really, I'm just glad to be continuing to DCA to build up my position more. So no problem there. And so the support level that I had an eye on was 515. And let's actually flip over here so I can update the support and resistance levels because I'm going to need to. And because we've seen a pretty notable pullback. And so looking at this, these are levels that I've gone over in prior videos. But let's just see. Let's get this Fibonacci retracement. Let's just kind of look at that. That's based on the low from June 22nd and the high from August 14th. And we have pulled back to right around 108. That is the 618, as you can see there. And let's see, what was the low over the past week? 108,623.70, 108,645. So yeah, we haven't really crossed 108. We are putting in higher lows so far. But yeah, I guess I would say that, we're effectively at the support that I would like to see Bitcoin hold. If it does break lower, 104 is the next level down there that I could see acting as support. So what I might do is I'm going to put 108 over here. And 1, 2, 3. 108, I'm going to make that white. And then I will also just note over here, what did I say? 104. So 104 is the next level, to the downside. I'm actually going to copy that, paste that, but just do, not paste values. Oops, I meant to do formatting. So we can see 104 right there. So that's not a level that I plan on dip buying or anything. I just plan on doing the daily dollar cost average. So let's see, for alerts, I'm going to need to set the alerts and orders not placed. So maybe what I'll do is, let's just see, color that yellow. I need to place some alerts there, and that is going to be for this one. So I'm going to make that yellow. And then let's consider resistance to the upside. Where could Bitcoin be going? The next level. I imagine that's not really going to change because, of how I have this drawn. Let's see, I've got a few levels up here. This retracement here, based on the lows, we are so far putting in, higher lows. And this is actually not a retracement. I should correct myself. An extension going from the low June 22nd up to that high from August 14th, and then down to the lows from September 1st. We see 133. It's a little bit lower than 135. And that level, is going to be based on, I'm just going to try to shrink this a little bit. the level over here, that's based on the low from April 7th. So that was during Liberation Day, all of that, going up to the high here from, it looks like, May 23rd, and then pulling back to the lows here, June 22nd. And so that's around 135, almost 136. So kind of like splitting the difference, 135. I'm just going to leave that there. And for me, I don't plan on selling my Bitcoin. I just plan on stacking. At some point in the next month, I'll have hit my target for the year, and then I will be reducing my dollar cost averaging, but I'm not there yet. So I'm just going to be continuing to do the 40 daily dollar cost averaging. And so I'm just going to make that white because that is placed. And then next week I will make it green, with the assumption that I did that every day. But as of right now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And so I'm just going to take a quick sip of coffee, but I'm going to pause this so you guys don't have to see that. And every time I pause it, if there's a skip, it's because I'm drinking some coffee. All right, now let's continue on with the next one on the list, which is going to be Ethereum, ticker symbol ETH. And for this one, let's check out the market cap. And so coming back over here, Ethereum, of course, the number 2. Now the market cap is below $500 billion. So that is, a little disturbing, but I think it's just, dip buying opportunities. In all honesty, has come down over the past week. Last week, I believe it was above $500 billion. Now it's, $485 billion. And let's check out the price of Ethereum. And this one, I'm actually going to go over 2 different charts for this. This is the one that I've typically been going over, but I'm actually going to go over the other one for some analysis. But anyways, the data from Coinbase is where I like to get the data from. And that closing price for yesterday, Friday, September 26th, it was 40.3427. 40.3427. And so that has come down quite notably. Last week, just out of curiosity, it was at 4,000, about 500 nearly. Now right around 4,000. We did cross the level that I had highlighted around 4,200. We did also hit 3,800 right around there, which is another level that I've talked about. But yeah, I'm up 53%, so I'm not sweating it. I'm feeling fine. No worries there. And then if we do look at that weekly data over here, and I'm actually just going to update the date here to next week. So that's going to be October 4th. But yeah, looking at Ethereum, 4,200, I know the level is 38. That is one that I think I need to adjust, but maybe not. So I'll just put that there. And we can also consider some other levels I can add to the additionals to the downside that, we could be hitting. And let's see. Yeah, so let's go over the charts and just talk about 3,800 and then the resistance level at about 5,100. And so, yeah, coming over to the charts, this is, what I've been drawn with this, but I'm actually just going to flip over to the other ETH chart that I have because this is the one where I went over that updated thesis. I'll let you guys watch that. You can check it out, learn, how I get these levels, all of that. But I just think that this is a great basis to go off of in the shorter term, whereas the ETH thesis over here, is longer term, bigger picture. And so I don't think that we need to be spending time on that. I think it's probably better to just be zooming in here and looking at the shorter term. And so looking at the shorter term, with this, we can see the Fibonacci retracement here going up to the high that was hit on August 24th, but beginning at the lows right around here. And so I'm wondering actually if I lock that into place. I did lock it into place. That's another reason why it's good to use the chart here, but that's the low from June 22nd. And so if we do look at that, we can see the 382 is at right around 3,800. We hit a low on Thursday, the 25th at 3,820. So just above that level, it does look like there's some confluence there that we could be finding some support. So I think that 3,800, great dip by there. But if it does go lower, if we do go to the next level down here, that would be around 3,500. So I might add that here. Let's see. 3,500 and then 8,000. So we got those two levels there, and actually putting those commas in there, maybe it's not the cleanest way to do it, but I'm just going to leave it like that. And yeah, so just in case that one is hit and we do go lower, 3,500 seems like the next level to the downside. But let's talk about that 5,100. How do I get that? And so what I'm going to do is just, like I have this Fibonacci retracement here, I'm just going to do an extension again from that low up to the high here. And then let's, just pull back down to 38. Just even number there. But what I'm going to do is actually line this up with those exact lows and highs. So the low on June 22nd from Bitstamp data, the low was 21156. So 2115.6. It knew I was going there. Weird. I don't know if it heard me or if it just knew the low there. And now the high at 49553. 493. Okay, and then over here, 38. Just being kind of arbitrary, that's where I think like the approximate low will be. Extended that forward to the future a little bit and locking that into place. And I might actually move that forward a little bit more. Let's just do 350 there so that, oh, actually, no, I've got that right here, so that's fine. I was thinking about moving this forward. And so that's to 308. Let's move that forward too. Let's see, 315. Let's do 315. That's fine. Okay, and so where are we going to the upside? Let's just look at that fib extension. That's suggesting 6,600 bucks. Oops, I did not want that. So that's, pretty high up there. There's probably going to be another way that I can draw that extension. And so that's probably going to be from over here. And I'll probably actually want to add the 6,600 up there as well. But yeah, just going from the low here up to this high. And then again, let's assume, actually, let's assume worst case scenario we come all the way down to the 786. This just being approximate. So with that, let's see where that level is. Again, 6,000. Dang. How did I get? Probably from the low here to the high. And actually, that might be a better way to draw it. So let's just look at this. 5,100. So that is from the low here to the high and then to there. I think that we can put a higher price target. I think that will be going past. I think that will maybe stall at 5,100. But then I think that we'll be blowing past it. And so, yeah, I think this is kind of, nice to look at both of these charts, but looking at that, that's just, we've already done that. But really, I mean, we went up to probably like the 786 or something, not the 100%. So 5.1, I mean, I think we've seen a pullback from that over here. Oh, let's just see. 6,200. So yeah, I mean, I'd say really just like, I mean, another way that I could draw this, let's see, shorter time frame, let's just do it from the levels here. So up to there, and then from here. I'd actually say 54, not 51. That seemed, because these are on the same trend line, so I feel like there's something to that. And if we do a little Fibonacci retracement, that was a pullback to like the 618, breaking a little bit below it, but yeah, respecting that right around where we're at now, around 4,000. So yeah, I think that 54 is actually the level. So I'm going to adjust this and let's see, 54.00. I'm going to make that, oops, let's see, I'm going to make it yellow like this. I need to adjust that. And then over here, additionals to the downside. But then also, I'm going to say around 6,000. You know, I'm not going to try to pinpoint it to 6,264 or 6,408 or 9. I'm just going to do 6,000. That seems, and maybe I'll actually, maybe if I'm, so that's just a number, so that's fine. But with these, maybe I want to do like 3.5K. And then I'll also have, you know, let's see, 6K. And then I'll also have the 8K there. So those are levels. Do I plan on selling at them? 3,500, to the downside, no. That would be a dip buying opportunity. 54, no, don't plan on selling there. 6,000. To be honest, I would need to seriously start thinking about trimming there, but I'm not going to. And then 8,000, that is one that I would, you know, be trimming at, beginning to exit my position, I believe, because that's my thesis, although I do think ETH is going to go a lot higher. But at that point, I would need to probably start more aggressively start trimming. And then if it goes below 8,000, then I could start to more aggressively, or not more aggressively, but just kind of, you know, dollar cost average back in. But yeah, I need to adjust those. So that's good. I'm not doing any orders, whether to the upside or downside, because I'm doing the daily dollar cost average. And so, yeah, that's totally fine. And I'm actually pretty excited about adjusting 5,400. I don't think that would be a long-term resistance. 6,000, though, I think that would be 6,000 to 6,600. The next top or consolidation that we would see before 8,000 and beyond. And actually, you know, I should probably note here 10,000 as well. I think that's a reasonable one to have up there. And since I don't plan on, you know, dip buying, I should probably make that red as well. Not placing orders. And then let's see, Bitcoin at 104. Again, not placing orders. So I'm going to make that red. So there's no confusion there. But yeah, coming back to the list, let's go over the next one, which is going to be Dogecoin, ticker symbol DOGE. Let's check out the market cap for Doge, which is ranked number 8. Exciting to see it there. It's got a market cap of just shy of about $35 billion. So let's populate that over here. And I imagine that did come down over the past week. It looks like it was around 40 billion last week. Now right around 35 billion. And let's check out the price for Doge. And just looking at that closing price from yesterday, Friday, September 26th, Doge closed at 23.27. So 23.27 right there. Looks like I'm up about 29% in my position. And I forgot to make this white over here. And for Doge, I don't necessarily need to be adding more to my Doge position. This is all going to be dependent on whether or not I buy the dip on RLC, which I suspect I will. I'll get into that in a minute. And so what I'm probably going to do over here, I'm going to make this be orange, which I would like it to be Bitcoin orange, but I don't have that up here. So I'll just do it the default orange there. And yeah, so $100, that will depend on what happens with RLC. But anyways, like I said, I'm up 29%. In my Doge position, I did get a dip buy fill at 23 cents because I did buy RLC, and I want to keep Doge above RLC on this list, organized by how much I've invested, effectively the risk here, which I have hidden. Yeah, so if I do buy more RLC, which I suspect I will add more to my Doge, which my average is currently at like right around 18 cents. So I am getting my average up as I buy the dip, but I'm also getting my average up for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, I think that's totally fine. That's kind of my thesis there. But yeah, let's come back over here to look at Doge, 23 cents and 33 cents. Those are kind of, the levels that I'm thinking about with Doge. But yeah, coming over here, the levels to the downside. Let's see. All right, so I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't do a fib retracement here. Maybe I accidentally deleted it or something. I'm not sure. But we do have this downtrend here. We have broken below that 50 SMA, and let's see right there. So yeah, we've gotten 2 closes below the 50 SMA, which is at 23.68. Maybe we get another close below it. It's making me a little bit concerned. But one thing to note though is that with this first red candle, the first close below the 50 SMA, we didn't close lower than that. We didn't even go lower than that. If we saw a close lower than the low that we hit on Thursday, September 25th, which was a low of 22.08, then I'd start to think, yeah, this is probably breaking down more seriously. But as of right now, I think this is just a dip buying opportunity. I could be wrong about, but that's kind of my sentiment with Doge. So what I'm going to say with this one is this fib retracement. That's kind of old news, to be honest, because we moved up and we retraced. And so I should probably adjust this to be, going back over here. So I'm just going to move this back in time to, let's say, I'm just going to do this incrementally. Let's say 260. I can go back a little bit more. So 250. Let's see, a little bit more, 240. That's too far. So 244, it looks like. Yep, and so that's where we, start to see that bottom. And actually, I could probably go, maybe I'll do 250 right there. 250, not 225. And so, yep, we got that there. And so there was some support. And so now from the lows here, I effectively want to do the same thing. This was a retracement to the 618. Let's see what the retracement is. To the 618 now. So going from that low that was hit on, I guess I'll probably fine tune this in a second. But so from there, we have the low. Actually, I can just pull this up to do that. The low over here was 1882. And then the high over here was 3074. So got that pinpointed. So going to lock that in place. And so now we have fake out broken down below the 618. That's around 23. And so I think that 23 is still, the dip buying level for Doge. And so I might end up just, dip buying it here because I might just be dip buying RLC here. Again, I'll explain that in a minute. But then if it does break down lower, what's the next level? That would be right around 21, which I don't necessarily think we would get a fill at 21 cents. We have the 786 here at 21.37. And so if we had a limit order at 21.37, that probably wouldn't get a fill because of the spread. So I'd say we round that up. And, I would think that being conservative with wanting to add and thinking that, this is a discounted time, I'm just going to say 22 cents. Maybe I should say 21 though. I don't know. We can draw up maybe a trend line here. Might give me some confidence. Yeah, look at that. We're kind of testing that from over here. If I extend this over to here, that's kind of, we had broken below that over here, and we were trading below that. And actually, let's see, let's look at that. That's actually pretty interesting. That trend line is pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're coming down to 2150. I don't think that we're coming down, well, maybe 2150, but for fills, I don't think so. I don't think we're coming down to 21. So I'm going to say the other level that's over here that I would like to add is going to have to be 22. And that is probably going to be a red one, because I don't plan on dip buying that or anything. And I'm going to just expand that so we can see. But maybe I'll want to adjust some of these levels to the upside. 69 cents, that is, just a fun number. But let's look at some of the levels now to the upside. I have 23 and 22 cents as being levels to the downside, not expecting it to get to 21. And so let's think about those levels to the upside. How did I draw them in the past? So one of them is going to be kind of like this confluence here around 31 cents. Very interesting. On Saturday, September 13th, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think that would have been 2 weeks ago, I was talking about, hey, I feel like that's probably a good time to trim Doge, but I'm not going to do it. I want to add more. I should have probably added more. But, it's like, this is kind of like the problem, is like you get attached to these things and you don't want to sell them, even though technicals are telling you there's going to be a pullback. So I was right about that. My analysis was good. My emotion was not lined up with my analysis. But as we get closer to the end of the year, I will be more likely to, I will be taking profits on a lot of these, but I think that Doge will be a lot higher than 31 cents. And so the resistance level that I have, it looks like, is at 33 cents. If I'm not going to trim at 31, why, or if I'm not going to trim at 33, as noted here, why would I then trim at 31? So that is going to be based on, let's see, the low from over here, which was from June 22nd up to the high here, July 21st, and then pulling back to the lows from August 3rd. And so that 100% is around 33 cents. But if we do take a step back, maybe I can just do this here. We have the 1618, that's around 42 cents. Maybe I should also add that here. And so I'll just, copy and paste this. Oh, I didn't mean to make that red and red. So let's do that. And yep, this would be 42 cents. That's another one I don't plan on trimming there. And I probably shouldn't do like the so many decimal places, just because, that's a little too much. But let's see, taking a step back, 69, I got that there. And how did I get 89? How did I get 89? I'm not sure how I got that. That could be bigger picture. Maybe looking at this on the log scale. No. But yeah, I mean, looking at this on the log scale, this looks like it could be going a lot higher. But yeah, let's, not log for volume. There we go. And let's do that. And so, yeah, let's just get Fibonacci extension again from the lows over here from June 2022 up to the highs here, and then a pullback. And so, yeah, that's probably where I get the 80 whatever. And yes, so I don't think I need to really get into too much of that detail, and I don't think I should be so greedy as to expect it's going to go exactly to this price. So I'd say I should just round that down to the nearest 10 cents, 80. Just like when we didn't hit 31 cents here, I shouldn't expect this to hit 83 cents. So I'm going to actually adjust this to 80 cents. Keeping it simple, unless maybe, what I want to do is Switch this over to the weekly, so things are just a little bit cleaner. And then, let's see, the 83. So what was the low over here? That was, the low for that week was 4.91 cents. So let's do this. 4.91, oh gosh. 4.91 cents. And then what was the high over here? That was, let's see, 48.46. Is that right? 48.46 was the high. Okay. So got that. And then the low that we saw over here was 12.98. So just a little bit lower. 12.98. And so there's that. I'm going to lock that in place. And so that's 83.44 cents. Maybe I should just, let's say we don't get up to 83, so let's round that down to 82. I think that's, or maybe I'll just do 83. I'll just do 83, but I'm not getting into decimals or anything. And I think previously, what did I have here? 89.45. No. Let's do 83. I think that's fine. Do I plan on trimming at 83? Maybe I'd plan on trimming at 83. So maybe, or not placing orders at 69 cents. I mean, to be honest, depending on the time of the year, I probably should, start to consider trimming at these levels. And so that's what I'll do with orange. Is, these are levels, that I'd consider trimming at. And so what I should do here is probably copy this and then insert it here. Considering placing orders. And so that is going to be orange. And the key there's nothing there for that. So, yep, considering placing orders. And so I should probably do the same with ETH here. And Bitcoin, I will at some point start to trim at levels once I get my position size that I want, as I will continue to dollar cost average, but I'm not doing that just yet. And so, yeah, those are those levels. And then let's see, 98. Why did I pick 98? Let's see, the 1618. I thought I had some stuff on the log scale, which, okay, yeah, those just get adjusted to the log scale. So 98 cents, I'm not sure how I got that. It's a little bit frustrating, but 98 cents, maybe that's just like the thesis of it might be getting into some resistance around 1. So yeah, that's, all of these are effectively levels that I would consider trimming at. And $1, yeah, because I mean, I feel like everybody is just like trimming Doge, exiting Doge at $1. I think the Dogecoin Millionaire wants to do that. And so do I want to do that? Do I want to maybe kind of front run that? Yeah, so I think that what I should do is probably do the $1, consider trimming there. But I should really, just think about not necessarily GTFOing, but removing a large amount of my position. Oh, sorry, that should have been white. And so the 1 should be orange. Considering that, placing orders. So yeah, and with this, I imagine I will have to place some alerts or adjust some alerts. So I will do that just because I got all these additional levels. Just, the more information, the better. Want to have a plan for all of the different scenarios that may present themselves. But yeah, after I've done that fairly extensively, hopefully that wasn't too exhausting, Now let's move on to iExec, ticker symbol RLC, probably the most speculative one on here, but I think that this one could have some really nice returns. But yeah, let's check out the market cap, and then you will see why it's so speculative. And so that is, the last on the list here for my watch list, ranked at number 391 as far as market cap goes. This was in the 400s though. So the fact that on this pullback, it is holding above 400, that is good in my mind, in my eyes. And so that is, around 89 million. So that is going to be why that one is so speculative. Did come down over the past week. It was previously at 104 million, and now it's at 89. Let's check out the price from yesterday. And I have to say that I guess I got a lot of clutter on here. Maybe I just want to remove that for now. But the closing price from, this is the weekly. So switching over to the daily. And let's fast forward to where we're at now. The closing price from Friday, September 26th, was at a price of 1006. So 1006. And so that puts me down at negative 34%. I did place a buy order last week, which I plan on doing another buy order, but maybe I'm just going to do a flat out $100 buy. The reason for that is because I am using Coinbase for, some of these more speculative ones. And the reason for that is because with Coinbase One, you get 4.5% APY on USDC. So that's very nice. But with Coinbase One, you pay about $5 a month. With that, you get 5 free trades. However, my trades I have been making based on limit orders filled via Coinbase Advanced, which, at least the basic subscription for Coinbase One, you don't get 5 free trades per month. On Coinbase Advanced, you do with market orders on Coinbase Regular. And so because of that, I might just do a straight up $100 buy. And so I'm just going to say that. And then with that being said, I'm also just going to do a $100 buy for Doge, because as we look at the charts, I think that we'll see, or the chart for RLC, that I think it's at a discount. And the discount level that I saw, the support level from last week, was 112. We clearly broke through that. And so I want to make sure that I am taking advantage of this dip. I did get my average down. Let's see, last week my average was 156. Now it's 154. I could more aggressively get that down as it has pulled back to around $1. But yeah, let's consider those levels. So 112, 220, which I made yellow. And the reason for that is because that was the level that I saw as resistance. But since we pulled back so much more than I expected, I actually adjusted that to 210. But yeah, let's look at these numbers. Let's consider them for RLC. And looking at the chart. And so I'm just going to add my levels up here. And so what do we have? Taking a step back, we have this yellow, let's see, I think that's a trend line. And we have this green line here, which again, I think is a trend line. And so we've pulled back to that yellow level. We also have this white line here, which is that, let's see, I just got so many levels over here that looks like it's at, oh crap. Let's just see this, $1 effectively. So let's actually just adjust that to, if I have that locked, it's because it corresponds with something specific over here, which is going to be the, let's see, closing price from April 8th, which is at 1,007. So that's what I have marked here. So we have pulled into that. And so I think that like $1 is a nice dip buying opportunity. Although, we have broken below the 50 SMA at 114. And effectively, 112, I was thinking that we'd see a little bit of a test of that 50 SMA. And actually, I probably initially wrote that, 112 when the 50 SMA was around 112. Now it's above our heads at 114. But yeah, let's just consider this chart. Do I need to have all this clutter? I mean, here from this, is that locked into place? No, it's not locked into place. We get the idea. I do these Fibonacci retracements. I'm just going to delete that to clean this up. We did break this uptrend. That's clear. I'm just going to delete that. And, this is where, I started to recognize, hey, maybe this is a good time to be accumulating when it's below $1. So I'm going to leave those doodles there. Let's see. And actually, I've got this trend line here we have now. If I would extend that forward, we have broken below that. So that's not so good. But maybe what I could do is, just, eyeing it from over here. Actually, I might just do it from the lows there. And then let's just do it from the lows over here. This actually seems like, maybe we're into some support with these higher lows. So I think that $1 is a dip buying opportunity. Where are we trading at right now? Dang it. It looks like we're actually above $1, right around 102. So I think that like $1 is a dip buying opportunity. And so I think that what I should be doing, because we have tested it, the low on Thursday, September 25th, was 96.82 cents. I missed that dip buying opportunity of $1. And so I should probably just say, well, maybe I missed that and I'll just buy, $100 worth more at wherever we're trading at now. So I'm going to adjust this to $1. And that is a level that I do plan on buying. I do need to adjust my alerts. And with that being said, I think we need to reevaluate levels to the upside. So let's do that. So reevaluating levels to the upside, we can see 210. This is based on a fib retracement to, I'm not actually sure how or fib extension, I should say, how I have that done. 210, I did that during the week. It's like, well, let's say that's the low, 210. That's actually not the low, and I did lock that into place. I'm actually going to want to unlock that and drag that down to, where we saw the lows from over here. That was on, like I said, the 25th, the low was 9682. So let's just adjust this to 9682. And let's move that forward to 310, whatever that is. And so that's right around $2.04. We could just round that down to about $2. And so, or maybe, let's go with the levels because we've pierced them in the past. But yeah, let's say 204. Let's say we get a pierce of that. So my level here is going to be 204. And that's one that I most definitely need to trim, probably be a little bit aggressive with those trims. And then let's consider other levels to the upside. And so this, actually, I'm going to need to adjust the orders there. So make that yellow as well. But yeah, let's consider some additional levels to the upside. So 210, that has really been adjusted to 204. And then let's consider the 1618 from that. Is that really true? Yeah, the 1618 is going to be around 270, or, we've got to make it 269. But we also have this downtrend here, which would be right around 227, 225 maybe. So I'd probably want to adjust this to 225. 242. I'm not really seeing that so much anymore, but that 269 is, a level. but maybe just for funsies, I do 242 to be trimming incrementally out. And 290, yeah, I mean, that's still the same. And so 242, I could do that, but then also I just add the, 269. And so those are all levels that I think that I would want to trim incrementally if I'm buying here, just right around $1. And so for all of these, 204, 225, 242, 269, and 290, I want to trim at all of those. And so I'm definitely going to need to be moving some RLC around. And so that will represent trimming out about $500 worth of RLC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. And maybe I want to be more aggressive with that. I'm not sure, but each one, let's just assume about $100. And so, yeah, so there's that. And now, before I move on to the next one, I'm going to pause this and have another sip of coffee. All right, and since this has been about an hour, I'm going to try to pick it up a little bit for these. But yeah, going on to the next one, that is going to be Loopring, ticker symbol LRC. Let's check out the market cap for that one. Coming over here, also very speculative, ranked 335 in CoinMarketCap with a market cap of just shy of 113 million. And so pasting that over here, it did go down over the past week. It was at 128, now at 113. Let's check out the price of LRC. Maybe I just want to remove the drawings there. And we can see the closing price from Friday, September 26th, was at 8.3 cents, so 0.83. And looks like I'm down about 14% in that position. Again, largely because of Coinbase One expiring at the end of this month, and I haven't used my 5 free trades. I might just do, another dip buy with this, which I probably shouldn't for a number of reasons. But I think that, at the end of September, the beginning of October, I think this is really, the opportunity time, and I don't want to be scared out of it. So, another $100 dip buy, because I did do a $100 dip buy at 9 cents. I should probably be a little more aggressive with it right around 8 cents. And then I can just trim out more aggressively. And so one of those levels is 1452 to the trim out level. But also I had adjusted that to 12 cents. And so I am going to want to adjust that. But yeah, let's consider the support levels for LRC, the ones that I see, the ones that stand out to me. So it does look like we have done, this full retracement here. We've pretty massively broken below that 50 SMA, which is at 9.25 cents. But maybe we're seeing a nice dip buying opportunity. And this actually does look like it's come into a nice level at 7.81 cents. Is that locked into place? That is not, but let's just, look at the close over here from April 8th, very similar to, RLC, in that it had a low there that seems like it could be, support, right around now. So very, very interesting to be seeing that, the similarities there. But so the closing price on April 8th was at 7.81 cents. And so I do want to lock that into place just so I'm not fudging it around. So right around 8 cents. What was the low on Thursday, September 25th? The low is 7.85 cents, nearly testing that level. Now we're trading at 8.3 cents. So effectively, I think that, this is, and maybe what I want to do is just, not paying attention to, there's only one significant figure there, $1 rounded. And so here, same type of deal is, 8 cents rounded. And so I'm just going to make that 8 cents. And so that will be like, the dip buying level. And I think that we're there and or missed it. And with that being said, I think that we could be looking at some very notable moves to the upside. But one thing, since this trend line, we have broken below, maybe what I want to do is something like this, kind of with the assumption that we are putting in, I guess really, that is the assumption. If I do adjust this to over here, that is higher lows. I guess what I should do is probably the low over here on August 2nd was 7.69 cents. Over here, it was 7.85 cents. So that is higher lows. And with that, I think we can do a Fibonacci extension. And, I've done some of them here. And that I could probably backtrack that a few days. So let's see, to like 270. Let's see where that takes us. This is going to be like 2 days into the future from that. So 272 is like that high. So kind of predicted it there. But then, so that's fine. But this extension is assuming, this is the low, that's the high pullback. I'd really want to adjust this, but I would say adjust it to be, more similar to what we saw here. In that this is, maybe I want to clone this. Actually, no, I don't want to clone that. I effectively, I want to clone it, but do that by going from the low here to that high. Yep, well, actually, because this is the high over here, I am then adjusting this to the high over here and then pulling back to, where we've recently pulled back to. And that would be suggesting, a target of 13 cents. So yeah, let's not get into the nitty gritty of this. We do see, the high over here around 12 cents. We did hit a high of 11.9 cents, so nearly 12. So I think that the next levels for this are going to be 12 and 13 to trim out of. But this is just a very speculative one. I'm putting more and more money into it. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I think, 9 cents is going to be some resistance. That's the 50 SMA. What's my average at? My average is lower than 9 cents. So really, at trimming at break even, yeah, and maybe what we can do is rather than a fib extension, do a fib retracement. So from the high here to the low, see some levels. So like 10 cents. Yeah, I think that I need to just do this kind of incrementally for myself because I've exposed myself more so to LRC than is probably responsible. So levels would then be right around 10 cents, right around 11 cents. Maybe like, split the difference here, right around 10 cents, 11 cents, 12. And so what I should probably do is, I'm not going to be worrying about the further decimal places. But yeah, 10 cents right there. And then I'm just going to actually, I'm not going to copy that, but yeah, I'll do 11 cents. Actually, wait a second. 10.32. So what I should probably do is do another one. Right? Actually, I was thinking, yeah, I'm not going to worry about the pennies or the fractions of a penny. So 11 cents, 12 cents, 13 cents. And so those are levels that stand out to me. And then really, just incrementally going up, I should probably just do that. But yeah, weekly basis, that will be giving myself, a good amount to be able to play with next week. So yeah, I'm going to adjust the alerts here, going to adjust the orders, and I'm going to place orders at all of those levels for both RLC and LRC because they're very speculative and I need to be getting better at managing that risk. But actually thinking about this, if I'm doing this many 5 for RLC, maybe I want to do the same thing for LRC. So I will just add, being kind of arbitrary, another one at 14 cents. And then I have, cash to play with for those. So I think that's good. And with that being said, we can move on to the next one, which is going to be Ondo, ticker symbol ONDO. Let's check out the market cap. For Ondo, going to be higher up on the list, ranked at 39 at just about $8 billion, $2.8 billion, right around there. So let's put that number in here. And we can see that it's come down from last week. Last week it was at 3.2 billion. Now it's at 2.8 billion, rounding there. And let's check out the price now for Ondo. Just remove those drawings so it's a little bit cleaner. We can see that the closing price for Friday, September 26th was at 89713. So 89713. And it looks like I'm effectively at break even. So I think that's fine. I think this is kind of like no panic zone. In all honesty, this is like chill zone. The reason is because, I have NA here. I haven't been buying the dip for this over the past week. If my PNL was less than 10 or if this was less speculative, then, I would want to be buying the dip. But I'm effectively at break even at 89 cents, up by 1%. So I'm just going to be chilling with this one. If I had more cash on the side, sure, I'd probably be buying the dip. But let's see the levels that I had from last week. The support was at 96.69 cents. We did break below that, and then resistance at 138. So let's look at those levels. We do have this trend line. I think that might actually still be something, maybe we're breaking below, retesting that as support before this does go higher. I am going to delete my doodle here because that did not play out. And, we are retesting this fib retracement. If I do, let's see, I'm just going to, since we haven't gotten down to the 786, I think that's still a retracement for us to be considering. But let's consider the levels to the fraction of a penny. So the low is 62149. So 62149. And that's, the low from June 22nd, 62149. And then the high over here was 116971. 116971. 1169. And then 71. And then I can send that into the future, let's say by 310 approximately. So we got that there. And yeah, so I'm going to lock that into place just so we have that. And so the next level to the downside, which would be kind of corresponding with this kind of historical approximate support, there would be some confluence there with the 618. That's going to be around 83 cents. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty with this. I'm just going to do it at, 83 cents. Yes, I was thinking 8.3. No, it's 83 cents. So right there, I am going to not get nitty gritty with this. I'm also not going to be placing an order there, but I will need to adjust the alerts. Not placing orders. 138. Why do I see that as being, a level? So I have that over here, kind of a confluence of levels, and we actually haven't even really retested that. So this one miraculously is still intact. 138, gonna leave that alone. And then, the next one to the upside would be around 169. Since I'm not like aggressively buying this on the pullbacks, I'm not going to aggressively, sell at this resistance. Although maybe that would be smart, but yeah, I mean, we could be breaking through that, getting up to like the 169, and that's, where I would start to trim. Don't have an order placed now for that, but I do have an alert, and so maybe rather than, just leaving that as red, I will do that. So I know that, let's see, not to the buy. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any orders placed, but if we do get to that, then I would need to do that, because then I need to be consistent up here with Ethereum. If we get up to 8,000, that is when, I would start to, sell. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's too much more for me to be going on with Ondo. It seems to be respecting this, but yeah, 83 cents. I think that would be very key support. And, maybe something that I should do over here is if my average is 89 cents, what is a 10% reduction in 89 cents? So let's see, 89 cents times, 0.9, a 10% reduction. That's going to be like 72 cents. So even if it does pull back to that level of support, I'm not in a 10% discount zone. Oh, actually, I screwed that up. 89 cents. Got to do the math right. Even if using a calculator, you can make mistakes. So that times, that would be 80 cents. So yeah, still, if we pull down to that support level, I'm not even at a 10% loss. So that is one where it's just like, yeah, just chill. I don't need to worry about that. So again, not applicable, not going to be worrying about that one. Just going to have another sip of coffee now, though, so there might be a skip. All right, and then so now we can move on to the next one, which is going to be Ethereum Classic, ticker symbol ETC. And let's check out the market cap for that one. Looks like it's ranked at number 40, just below Ondo, at a market cap of just shy of $2.8 billion. So let's populate that over here. I'm imagining this came down over the past week, as I think we're going to be seeing red across the board, which is opportunity. This is not to be panicking. This is the time to be chilling. So last week, market cap was around 3.1 billion. Now it's about 2.8 billion. And let's see what that price is for yesterday. So Friday, September 26th. Ethereum Classic closed at a price of $18.41. So $18.41. And so it looks like I am down about 15% in my position. So this is kind of annoying because I don't want to dollar cost average any more into this. I wish I would have just sold at break even, and that's kind of a lesson, a good lesson to, trim it, if you're losing conviction in something, trim it, break even, no big deal. And so because I am down 15%, I should probably consider dollar cost average. And so what I might do is I'm just going to put in a 1 here. But I'm going to make that orange because that's one that I need to consider. That will be for dollar cost averaging over the next week. Get my average down, might as well. And and so that's something I need to think about because I am below 10%. But yeah, let's look at the chart. Let's consider the levels that I had 21. For the dip, and I didn't dip by that. Maybe this is actually one where I just want to dip by and be done with it. I can just do one and done. Let's look at the chart though. Does it seem like we're potentially at some support? I think that could, be, kind of, to encourage me to just one and done, dip by. And then, I can trim more aggressively when getting out. But yeah, let's consider this some levels that I can remove just to kind of clean up the chart. There we go. This again, I can just delete that, clean up the chart. But yeah, I mean, the thing that stands out to me, and maybe I'm going to want to fudge this a little bit, but I mean, maybe we have a little bit lower to go, but that does look like we've come back into support. We do have Fibonacci retracement here, and that is, the 618, right around 17, 18 bucks. We're currently trading right around 18 bucks. And so let's see, let's consider this. Let's adjust that fib retracement to be to the penny, or yep, to the penny, not fraction of a penny. But the low here is 12.69, so you gotta love that. And yeah, let's adjust that to 12.69, so that's done. And then the high over here was hit on July 19th. That was at a price of $25.95, so almost right there. And I'm going to adjust this to be into the future at 310 over there. And yeah, so just to note, the low over here was from April 7th, corresponding with Liberation Day. Uptrend, higher lows, and that 618 at 1776. So I think the dip buy level, I don't think this is going to come down to 786 at 1550, although I might want to note that. And for Ondo, yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. I was thinking maybe I could put 80 cents there, but I'm not going to worry about that. But for Ethereum Classic, I think it's very clear that right around 18 bucks is the dip. And that is one that, to be honest, I think I'm going to place an order there at 18. I need to adjust the alerts. I need to place some orders. And, for that, I think I'm just going to do a dip buy. And so I'm going to do that, not at 100, not $100 dip buy at the level. But I'm going to do an $18 dip buy. And that is going to be, just for one Ethereum Classic, Get one of those, get my average down. I did trim some, in weeks past. We can actually see that, from last week. At the beginning of the week, I had trimmed, taken 43 bucks out. And then the previous week, 43 bucks out as well. So with those, I can feel fine about dip buying 18 bucks. And, I can probably, I can't round that. I can do it just like that, 18 bucks there. So that is an order that I need to place. Since I haven't placed the order, I do need to make it yellow though. And also for these, I haven't placed those. So I do need to make them yellow. Next week, they should be green. These are already placed on the daily. No big deal there. So yeah, 18 bucks. I need to do that. That is here. Why are these yellow? 108, 380. Yeah, why did I make them yellow? I'm just trying to think about the schemes here because I don't need to do anything with those. We're at support. They were hit. And so, yeah, I need to adjust these to be, I'm not placing any orders though, so I need to do it red. Not placing orders other than the daily dollar cost average, so that's fine. These I will be placing orders. This one I will be placing an order, but yeah, now let's consider levels to the upside that Ethereum Classic could be going to. And so considering that Fibonacci retracement, considering like the tops over here, yeah, the 382 from that corresponds with the tops over here, also over here, right around 21 bucks. And so the closing price on March 2nd was at, let's see, 20.99. The open price here was at 20.1. So yeah, I want to make that be actually 2099, not whatever it is here. So that's not locked into place. That's why 2099. And so, yep, that is going to be, in my view, some resistance. 21 bucks, also corresponding with the 50 SMA at 21.15. And so I'm going to say here, 21 bucks is going to be resistance. What's my average though? My average is above that. Even if I do this dollar cost average, my average is still going to be above that. So I am not going to plan on trimming at a loss. So I'm going to make that red. But then what would be, the next level for me to trim at? 21.61. That is my average, although I will be able to adjust that down if I am buying the dip at 18. And some other levels, though, to the upside. Let's see. 21.69. I've got that. 23.77. Why do I have that? That's over here. That's 22.77, not 23.77. So like if I were to extend this into the future, and I don't want to get it all the way to current day. Let's just do 250. See where that puts it. Do 270. Yep, we can see that right there, 22.77. So not 23.77. So I'm not sure, I was wrong about that. But yeah, I think 22.77. Let's just do 23. Let's not be too fudgy with the numbers, but really, for this trimming, I would want to have, a trim at 22. I'd want to have a trim at 22.77. Let's just do that. I also want to have a trim at 23 and, I guess 24 and 25. This is one that maybe I'm getting a little excessive with this. Maybe I'm getting a little excessive. But no, I need to kind of trim. I need to kind of GTFO with this. And also I'm more excessive with Doge. So yep, all those levels I need to be trimming at, whether it's 1 or 2, ETH classics, I'll have to consider that. But yeah, just incrementally. So not $100, but trimming. Okay, so those are all some levels there, beginning at 21, but then these are the levels I personally would trim at for Ethereum Classic. All right, and so now it looks like we're going to get into some more of the interesting coins, ones that I don't have super large positions in, ones that are either too risky for how large they are, or just a little more speculative, one having more of a thesis behind it, the other just being kind of, legacy and wanting to, get out of that. But anyways, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Solana, ticker symbol SOL. Let's check out the market cap for that one. I imagine it's going to be ranked number 6, as we can see here, with a market cap of around $110 billion. Hopefully that copied, and it did. And it did come down over the past week. It looks like Solana was at 130 billion, and now it's at 110. I think that we're potentially in, dip buying, dip opportunity type territory. But yeah, let's look over at the chart here. Just going to remove my drawings for a second so we can zoom in to look at the closing price from Friday, September 26th, which was at a price of 205.26. So 205.26. And this is one that I am in the green on. So that's good. We did see a low really on Thursday, the 25th, at 191.49. That could be a very nice dip buying opportunity. But yeah, I am in the green, 17% in the green in my position. And, this, though, is kind of making me think. This is like the daily dip buys for Bitcoin, Ethereum. Solana is kind of next on the list for, moving down there. The fundamentals, if Ethereum is Wall Street's token, I think that Solana is, if Ethereum is Wall Street's token, or if Ethereum is Wall Street's Coke Classic, Solana is Wall Street's Pepsi. And so who wants to live in a world where you don't have the choice between Coke and Pepsi? Nobody. We all want Coke. We all want Pepsi. And so, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, they've been around. RC Cola, maybe that's getting down here. That'd be, RC Cola is the XRP. Let's see. This one, I think even though I am in the green, I'm going to want to look at some levels that I might want to do some daily dollar cost averaging, which gets really annoying because then I have to update all of this stuff on a daily basis. But yeah, Solana, I think that's one that I might want to add more to. But let's consider the levels. What did I say last week? 221.69, clearly below that. 260 is the level to the upside. So yeah, let's consider where I think that support might be for Solana. And also I'm going to have to clean up this chart a little bit. It's looking a little bit cluttered, probably because I have this box here, although I was talking about that, kind of being some support there. But I'm going to clean it up just so, the chart is not too cluttered. I can remove that doodle and this doodle as well, just to get all this stuff out of the way. And we do have this interesting trend line. Maybe we've kind of pulled into that as support. I find that intriguing. Also, let's see up here. I just got all these like legacy Fibonacci retracements. I think that one's still one to note. And we did, but maybe I could pull it back some. And so that is going to, let's see, 270. Where is that? So that's, right there. A little bit of clutter there with the numbers, but I think that's fine. Okay, so having that there, maybe pulling into this trend line as support. We have broken below this higher low trend line, but maybe that could be a fake out break, dip buying opportunity right here. We have closed multiple days below the 50 SMA, which is at 208. But again, maybe this is a dip buying opportunity. We also have this green trend line here, which is coming forward. Again, maybe that's a dip buying opportunity. So we do have a lot of levels here. I think that this is probably going to be, nice opportunity for Solana. And so I think that, it might be good to, this is tough because I don't need to be exposing myself to more risk, but I think this is the time to be doing that. And really what I need to do, let's take a step back. Let's adjust this Fibonacci retracement to be the highs and the lows over here, which this is actually, with the assumption that it was going to 260, we need to adjust it to the highs here. So let's pinpoint that. Let's lock that in place. And so let's get this up here. So the low over here from April 7th was at 95.16. So 95.16. And then the high over here on September 18th was at 253.61. So 253.61. Oops, 253.61. And let's adjust this to be 310. So it's not super far forward into the future. And so we've pulled back to the 382. Also seems like there's a lot going on here with the levels and stuff. And this could be going lower though. So what I might say is that 193, I think that's support. Am I going to be buying the dip? Maybe that's something that I want to consider. Or maybe I just want a dollar cost average. Kind of like what I've been doing with ETH and Bitcoin, but just a little bit more mild with Solana. But I think this is, the real opportunity time right now. So this is kind of tough because I shouldn't be spreading myself so thin, but I should be spreading myself thin when there are opportunities, not when it's at tops. You know, it's like we all have money on the side when we're hitting new all-time highs. We don't have money on the side when it's dipping. But this could be coming lower to like 174. So, and I think for now I've got to do that. I should add, 174 over here. Oops. Would I be dip buying that? No, probably not. So that's something to consider. But maybe I do want to be a little bit more aggressive. Could I do... yeah, I mean, this is getting into a territory where it's like I'm really like degenning. But, with the revitalizing the Ethereum thesis, and let's actually look at that real quick and just to kind of compare with Solana. So coming back to the Ethereum thesis, the lows were hit April 8th, and then we just went up. How did Solana behave relative to that? Same. So yeah, and also with Ethereum, that was a fake out break below this level of support, and that was an opportunity. And so we're seeing that with Solana, fake out break below this trend line. And so I think that could be an opportunity. So what I might want to do is, compromise, it all has to be compromise. I don't know. Maybe I want to do a daily dollar cost average that's a little bit more aggressive, which is maybe kind of crazy. But I'm thinking, if I'm doing daily dollar cost averages with ETH and Bitcoin, it's $40. Eventually, within the next month, I'm going to have my position size filled up to, where I want it with Bitcoin. And then I'll have that $40 a week. And then I'll probably do like $5 to $10 a week, or not week, daily, for Bitcoin. And then I would be more comfortable to like trim if we get to, really overextended levels. Probably guided by the Fear and Greed Index. And yeah, so with that being said, if I'm doing $20 dip buy for Ethereum Classic, I was thinking that, $40 DCAs here. Maybe what I want to do is $20 daily dollar DCAs, but that might be too much. So what might be appropriate is maybe I just remove one of the zeros and just do $10 DCA. I'm getting into like degen territory here. But I should have been more aggressive with Ethereum when it was at 1,400. I had a solid thesis. I kind of have that now. It definitely feels uncomfortable to be doing this, but I think that $10 for the next week, $10 a day, I don't think that's too insane because I could do $40. I could do $20, or I could just do like a $1 daily DCA. What if I do $10 daily DCA? More worth my time. I think that's fine. Yeah. So, and I think that Solana is, like if I go back to the thesis, if I just scroll up a little bit, I have more confidence in Bitcoin than alts like Ethereum, Solana, and Doge, but I have more Doge than Solana. So I think that I need to start being a little bit more aggressive with Solana while we have these opportunities for these dip buys. And I might come back at the end of this and revise this to 20. We'll have to see. Yeah. Let's see. That's half of that. It's like $100. Let's see. Let's do the math on this. If I do, $10 times 7 days, that's only $70. If I multiply that by 2 for $20 a day, that's 140. And so over the course of the next week, I'd be putting in more into Solana, which I have more conviction in than Ethereum Classic, be putting more into it on a daily basis than I am with this dip buy, but also Loopring, $100, iExec, RLC, $100, Doge, $100. So yeah, I mean, I think that I might want to do 20 and just like really kind of degen into this, just stupid. But it's just for a week. And this is the time to be doing this at the beginning of quarter 4, at the end of quarter 3, not when we're hitting new all-time highs. So I feel all right with that, but maybe I'll make that orange for now because I'm just going to be thinking about it relative to what I do with the other ones. Okay, and so with Solana, yeah, where could it be going to the upside? Because if I'm buying at like 200, I want this to like, be going up to like 400 or so. So where's like the next resistance for Solana? And I didn't lock that into place, but I did adjust it to the levels. I believe that was for Solana. The high over here, 25361, and that is 95.16. Yeah, so I just need to lock that into place. And so we have that. And then from, what we're seeing over here, where are these fib levels? 260, is that what I said? 260. Yep, corresponding with like the tops up here, that is a level, that might be acting as resistance, but I don't necessarily want to trim there. I'm fine with that. What are some other levels? I have 174. That is going to be like the 1618 here. From this, that's kind of an older retracement. Excuse me. So maybe I don't want to do that one. Let's take a step back. We can't. This is all-time highs. Over here, this is like 300, I believe. The high was 295. Let's look at this. This is, a more macro picture. Looking at like the lows from over here, that would be suggesting price get up to like around 400. And yeah, but what are some levels between here and there that we could consider? So what I might do is, and actually this, speaking of, the support here, I could maybe adjust this trend line to be over here. And maybe that could be suggesting we're coming a little bit lower. Like to 174. So I think that 174, 175 is a level, yeah, that, I would not trim there, of course, yeah, no. But 174 as support. I won't do 175, I'll just leave it as 174. But then let's look at some other fib extensions. So, we could have the one from the lows here up to the highs, and then a pullback to approximately where we're at now. That would be suggesting price of around 350. So I think I need to add 350 in here. Would I trim there? I don't know. At this point, I'm not placing any orders. Let's just assume that I would. Yeah, and so 380 is next. And then like 400. Yeah, so I'm not going to go any further than that, but I could adjust this fib extension to be like right here, and that would shorten it. That would make the move to the upside not be so extreme to like 320. So 260, and then I think I need to say like 300 and then 320. So those are all levels that could be acting as some resistance. So maybe it starts to weaken, like, what I saw with Doge, then maybe I'd want to act. But no orders placed there for that. But I will need to place an order for the dip buy. So I'm just going to copy what I have for Ethereum Classic because it's the same type of thing there. And now we can't move on to the next one on the list. This is going to be kind of tough for me because if I'm adding more to Solana, I'm probably going to want to add more to Cardano, which is ticker symbol ADA. Let's check out the market cap for that one. Ranked number 10, $28 billion there. And we can just paste that over to here. Definitely going to be down in my position with this one, I imagine, but maybe not. And so let's consider that with the price. Let's just go over here to Cardano, zoom in to see the closing price from yesterday, Friday, September 26th. That was at 79.24. So 79.24. Looks like I'm down 1% on that one. And actually, thoughts, I'm going to have to revise this. I'll do that at the end, I guess. I just had an idea for how I would do that. But yeah, for Cardano, I'm down 1%. Since I'm not down 10% and I can't be spreading myself super thin on all of these, I'm probably going to leave that as not applicable. My average is 80 cents. But let's see, what are the levels for this 84? We did go through that, and 110 to the upside. So coming over here, let's consider these and look at the chart, look at some levels. And so what do we have here? We have this Fibonacci retracement, which let's pinpoint this. I'm just going to lock it in advance so I don't forget. Let's see, the low over here from June 22nd was 51.01, so almost right there. And then the high up here was 101.96. 101.96, so that's marked right. And I'm just going to move this to 310, so it's a little bit into the future. And so we got that there. We have done a 50% retracement, and so that is around 76 cents. And we hit the low of, let's see, 75.46 cents on Thursday. And so I'm just going to say the level over here, which I'm not going to be buying, I've got to be disciplined, 76 cents. So I'm going to color that red. And other levels over here, if it does come down lower, the 618 is going to be around 70 cents. So I'll mark that, which would be a little bit lower than the 618, but I'm not going to worry about it, not going to round. Let's just do 70 cents. I'm not going to do 69. Yeah, we'll just do 70 cents over here. Oops. And gosh, I am having a hard time here. And then I'm going to make that red. I'm not going to place any orders. And then, yeah, I mean, resistance. Let's see. 110 is a level that I had marked, but really, I think since we saw the high over here of just $1, $1 psychologically, that's going to be, an important level. I don't have the alerts. I'm going to need to adjust them. So I need to do that. Orders, not placing any, need to be disciplined. But then beyond $1, where are some levels over here? Around 110, around 1.8. Not going to, be nitpicky about that. But let's see, $1 and then 110 over here. And that again is not one that I would really plan on trimming at unless I was to be more aggressive. So I'll just make that red, leave that there. $2, $3, those are levels I'd consider trimming at for Cardano. And yeah, maybe I should adjust some of these. Actually, we got that has pulled back 1.9. Let's see other levels. This would be, let's see. This, I should probably, adjust that to be like over here. And then with the assumption, the bottom's in, that's going to be around 126. 130. Yeah, I think I should probably, just delete those and just think about this bigger picture. It's like 126, 120. Really like 120, 110, 125. So I'm going to do another one here. I'll do 120. Yeah, 125. And so I'll again make that red. There are just some levels there. And, taking my time with this video, so let's try to speed it up, go on to the next one, which is going to be Chainlink, ticker symbol LINK. Let's look at the market cap for that one, ranked number 13 with a market cap of just over $14 billion. And we can see that from last week that, was at just shy of 16 billion. Now it's at lower than that. And also Cardano, I think I forgot to mention it, at 32 billion, now at 28, Link now at 14. And so let's look at the chart for Link, just removing all those drawings so we can zoom in to see the closing price from Friday, which was at 21.083. So 21.083. And so we have that one there. And it looks like I'm up about 1% on Chainlink. And let's see, 21. This is another one that I kind of view like Solana. And so what I might want to do is do daily orders, kind of like Solana, but just to overthrow Cardano and Link. Whatever my position sizes are on those, whatever that dollar cost average amount would be. But, I'm not talking about AVAX right now. I'm talking about Link. Okay, so this one, 1%, not applicable. I'm not going to be doing dollar cost averages, but let's look at the levels over here. So 23, we are, below that. But what are some levels that could be acting as support? 19, right around 20. Yeah, this level is just approximate. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty with this because I'm taking too much time with it. But yeah, $20. I think that's going to be support. 20. But I can't be buying all of them. I need to adjust the alerts. I'm not going to be placing orders. I'm just going to be chilling with this. Some more levels, some levels to the upside that we could be looking at. Or, if this does go lower, let's see this fib extension retracement. That's just going to be approximate. And the next level to the downside would probably be around 19. So maybe I will put that over here, 19. And then also 50 and 19. I don't plan on adding there, but just another level to the downside, not much lower than what we're currently at. And then looking at the levels to the upside, 30 I think is going to be a level of resistance. I do have that in there corresponding with the tops over here. And then 50 is the next level. There are other levels as well, but 50. I'm just going to leave that, keep it simple, so we can move on to the next one, which, like I said, I think is going to be a little tough for me because I want to add more aggressively to this, which is Avalanche, ticker symbol AVAX. Let's check out the market cap for Avalanche, ranked at number 14 with a market cap of just above $12 billion. And so we can see that right here from last week when it was at $14 billion. Now it's at 12. Is this a dip buying opportunity? I think so. But let's look at the chart over here. Zooming in. Wow, that looks like a very nice candle from yesterday, hitting a low on the 26th of 2707, but closing at 2912. So 2912. And that is down from the last week. I am up about 15% with this one. And it looks like I was doing $2 dollar cost averages with Avalanche. Something that I'm going to have to do, I'm going to pause this so I can look at, what I need to do dollar cost average wise over the course of the next week to get Avalanche above Link and Cardano. So just 1 second on that. All right, so what I found looking at my risk, which I'm not sharing with you guys, is that I would need to spend about $100 on AVAX to get it to overthrow Cardano, less than that to overthrow Link. And so let's see what's $100 divided by 7 days. It's about 14 bucks, 14.28. So let's see, 14.28. And then I could do the same thing. That's actually what I was thinking about with Solana is 14.28. And so, yeah, so let's do this. Daily dollar cost average 14.28. And then for AVAX, I actually only need to do 99, but I want it to be above Cardano. And so that's going to be 14.28 as well. And so actually I'm just going to make this yellow. And I am like degenning into these positions. But, I also need to maybe take a step back, look at the chart before I jump into the assumption on that. And let's also consider the levels over here. So 25 and 40 are the levels that I had. And so let's look at the chart. And so over here, AVAX, wow, so I got this. Yeah, that's moved up massively, but then it's pulling back. It's still above the 50 SMA. And so this is actually looking really strong still. And yeah, what I need to do, I don't need to delete that Fibonacci retracement. Actually, yeah, maybe I do because that was from the high over here. And so what I probably need to do, I'll lock it into place just so we have it there. But let's look at the low from June 22nd was, let's see, 1562. And then the high from over here on July 28th was 2739. Okay, and then I want to kind of backtrack a little bit in the time frame to when it was over here. So let's make this like 250. Let's do 245. So that looks pretty good, lined up there. And so that was a 50% retracement, a dip buying opportunity. And actually, maybe what I could do is, I guess there'll be a little bit of overlap. I'll do it by 43. So there's to that low. Okay. And so we've got that. And so now what we can do is a Fibonacci retracement again. And I'm going to look for this to potentially be finding support around the 50%, just like it did in the past. And so from over here up to the highs, I'm going to pinpoint this. I predicted it. Let's see, the low from August 2nd. I can actually pull this up. The low was 2066. And then the high over here was 3619. And then I will do this to 310. And so we can see that it has pulled back to the 50%. We could be at support. The 50-day SMA is below us at 2675, which also nicely corresponds with the 618, as well as, this kind of approximate trend line that I have drawn there. So I view effectively 2850 as support. And so 2850, wait, I said 25. That did not get hit. Very interesting. But yeah, I guess if this were to go lower, I think it's at support now, so I'm going to dollar cost average. But I think that like 26.50, I'll just round that down. Or maybe I should do 27. Maybe it doesn't get there exactly. The 50 SMA is right around 27, 26.75. So I'll just do 27. I don't plan on dip buying that, but I do plan on placing some orders. And so I will need to do this like that. Resistance, let's consider that. Let's see. All right, with that resistance at 40. Let's see, we hit a highs over here of 36.19. So that was kind of resistance. But what we have now is, this just being approximate. We kind of intersected with that over here. So let's do that. Okay. And then with that zoomed in, we can do another Fibonacci extension from the lows here to the highs. And then with the assumption that, this was effectively the low. So 42, I think that's another good one for Avalanche. And, these other levels, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty, but I will add 42 because it's a fun one. And I'll make that red because I don't plan on selling there. But yeah, that is, good. That's good. And yeah, I'm totally degenning. But yeah, just coming back to this, I'm going to have another sip of coffee and then we will continue on. All right, and so let's look at the next one on the list, which is going to be Fartcoin, ticker symbol Fartcoin. And let's check out the market cap for that one. Fartcoin's probably going to be pretty low on the list here, ranked to number 113, not in the top 100 anymore. But yeah, let's see. It's about 600, nearly $600 million market cap. No, that's billion. I believe that's bill. Is that billion? No, it's million. So yeah, that's pretty speculative, pretty stupid, as you'd expect. Last week, it was at a market cap of 774 million. Let's check out the price. And this is one, I feel stupid about it, but I'm gonna have to add more to it. I've got a much bigger position than I, was initially anticipating. But, that's just, what we have to be dealing with. Anyways, the close from Friday, September 26th, was at a price of $58.65. So $58.65. I'm down 22% on this one. Just like, at the ones over here, I'm probably just going to have to do not a limit buy, but just a straight up buy because, with this, I at least get these 3 trades for free if I just do spot buys, not limit buys, or market buys, I should say. And yeah, this has come well below my level of 69 cents, as we see noted here. But there are actually some other levels that I had talked about, or at least had marked on the chart, which we will look at. And this, I will just copy that because I know I need to adjust some stuff here. But yeah, let's look at the Fartcoin chart to see some of those levels. And so this is one that I had drawn previously, and I will, lock that into place and just, get those levels to the penny because I think it's important. And so from that retracement, we can see the low over here on March 10th was 1988. So let's see, 1988, that is correct. And then the highs over here in July were, let's see, on July 22nd, the high was 16932. So let's see, 16932. And then I'm just going to make this 310. So it's a little bit in the future. A little bit in the future. That's a lot in the future. I didn't want it to go that far. I think I can bring this back to 270. Is that what it was before? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and so we have the 786 at like about 52 cents. So that's a level that I think we could be hitting that I will note over here. Oops, 52 cents. I'm going to do that as red though, and I'm going to, this is like my OCD. If I have OCD or if I just like paying attention to details. I think that details are important. And so all of these, I will probably, by the way, be trimming at these levels, or probably more so sooner than that, but just kind of fun levels. I think that, you know, really, like we hit a low on Friday, the 26th, of 53.63. Maybe we don't actually get to 52 cents. I do have this horizontal line kind of, you know, approximately drawn over there at like, let's see, 59 cents sub 60. And so really, I mean, I think that like sub 60 cents is a dip buying opportunity. And I need to do that. So I will place that order. And yep, just going to be a market buy probably to get my average down. Because let's see, what is my average? My average for Fartcoin is 75 cents. It's above 69 cents. So this is at least an effort to be getting it closer to 69 cents. And then I could trim more aggressively. Fartcoin is way higher up on the list than I'd like it to be. And so I need to more seriously consider levels to trim at. And so really, you know, I need to find 2 or 3 levels that I need to trim at. And so considering that, you know, one level is probably going to be like break even at like 75 cents or so. But let's consider these other levels. I had it at 116.9 and I need to not be rounding. I need to do it, or I need to be rounding. Just don't be so nitpicky, you know. And so what we can do, some levels to the upside, and actually some levels that I can clean up on this. Are there any? This one here, 69 cents. That's one. I mean, I guess it's kind of fun, you know. I should, if it's going to be fun though, I don't even need to mark it 69 cents. I know that number. This is, you know, the level that I had marked there. This doodle did not play out, so I could delete that. We did break below that trend line, but I could probably just leave that up there. I think that's fine. But let's do a fib extension from the low here up to this high and to this pullback. Where could that be suggesting price to be going? Up to like $2. Okay, that's nice, but I need to trim a little bit sooner than that. And so what I might actually do with this fib, I thought I locked it. Oh, no, that's the retracement. That's the extension, not the retracement. So this one is locked into place, okay. I just want to backtrack this a little bit. I think to like 243 is where I want it to be, somewhere around there. Actually, a few days forward, so like let's see, 247. Is that would be lined up with today. So yeah, let's do that. And actually, maybe I'll walk it back one more day. So it's just corresponding with that Friday. And, you know, now I want to do a Fibonacci retracement to the upside. That would suggest, you know, more conservative trim levels that I could be looking to trim out of my position, you know, because that's something that I want to be doing. And so considering this, I'm going to do this, to the levels over here. And actually, I want to get this on that green day. I think it was a little bit higher there. Yep, so 169.32. 169.32 was the high there. And then over here, the low from that Friday was 53.63. So let's do that. And, I think all of that is fine. I'm just going to lock that into place. And so what are some levels, that I could be trimming at? I do have one, the 382. I actually want to add the 236. And that is, I need to mark this as being purple. And so that's going to be around 80 cents or 81 cents, also kind of corresponding nicely with that blue, 50-day simple moving average at like 84 cents, 83 cents, right around there. So, trim levels, it's going to be 80 cents, then probably, let's see, 80 cents, 81 cents, 83 cents, 84 cents. So really, I just need 3 trim levels, though. So 80 cents is there, so I need to place that order. And then let's see. Let's do the moving average. Let's say it doesn't get there. Let's say it gets close to there, 83 and 84. Okay, so I'll do 83 and 84. And so those are going to be white. And they could actually be cut and pasted after that. And then, yeah, so I've got all of that. I can probably, I'll just delete the 4 there. So I got all those numbers. Let's see. I'll delete the, I'll just do this. Why not? Yeah, so I got 3 trim levels. So I'd feel fine about that, So that's good. Okay, so that's for Fartcoin. And coming back to over here, just noting that I need to place that. And so now let's look at these that, did get shuffled around a little bit because I was doing the daily dollar cost averaging. Maybe I want to still do that. Maybe I want to take a break from it this week. I'm not sure. We'll think about it. But yeah, continuing on, let's go on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Litecoin, ticker symbol LTC. Let's check out the market cap data for Litecoin. So coming over here, that is going to be ranked number 20 at a market cap of $8 billion. So let's paste that over here. I am hungry. I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, 8 billion last week. It was at 8.7 billion. And let's see the price for this one. Let's check it out. Ooh, Litecoin should be here. Litecoin is not on the list. Dang it. So I will have to pull that up. I don't think I can add it. So I will just pull it up over here, LTC USD. And so for this one, we can see that the closing price for Friday, 26th of September, was 104.63. So 104.63. I'm up about 4% on that one. That one, I've done the dollar cost average over the course of the past week. I think that's really going to depend on what's going on with, let's see, Aave and Pepe. Those are ones that I do want to dollar cost average in. I'm just, I'm a little bit frustrated. I want to be buying more aggressively. But yeah, $1 cost average. Let's just make that yellow. Let's assume that I'm going to do that. I'm going to continue to do that. My average is, $100.69. I kind of actually like that average. You can guess why. But my support level, 106.90, was hit. And so we're going to have to adjust that. And we're going to have to adjust this a little bit quicker because I am getting hungry, to be honest. But yeah, so just with this Fibonacci extension, 99 is going to be the level right here. So I'm just going to do that, 99. I don't plan on buying that dip, but I do plan on doing, like a very casual daily dollar cost average. I will have to adjust the alerts. Not going to place any orders other than the daily dollar cost average. And unless maybe I want to pause on some of these, we'll have to think about that. But yeah, resistance to the upside. I've spent too much time on the other ones. So I might really just, because this has been going on for more than 2 hours and about 15 minutes now. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of skip these. And I'm just going to say, actually, gosh, no, I can't really just do that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily value added for these doing this. So yeah, I'm just going to be saying, I'm just going to end this. Let me know if this is helpful. But for all of these, nope, I need to at least add to the alerts to the downside. And so 99 for Litecoin. Yeah, I need to, gosh, I'm tired. Okay, so I've done Litecoin. I'm going to do $1 DCA. Aave is going to be the next one on the list. Ticker symbol AAVE. Let's populate that market cap data. And so Aave is ranked at number 30, market cap of about $4 billion. Just going to paste that here. And that did go down from last week. It was about 4.5. Now it's at 4 billion. And the price, the closing price from Friday, if I look at Aave over here, that is going to be at, let's see, 27.93. So 27.093. And that did come down from last week. I'm down about 3%. Because I added $2, AVAX was able to overthrow Pepe and Trump, so that's good. So now I'm just going to do $1 daily DCA for AVAX. Not going to adjust the numbers too much, although, levels to the downside, 300, that was hit. So let's just look at the chart here. 250, that's going to be the next level. So I'll just mark that there. Not going to be doing anything crazy with that, but I will adjust the alerts, and I don't need to place any orders. And actually Litecoin, I accidentally was doing the $1 daily DCA last week, and I just decided to continue it because I want to be keeping that above, Pepe and Trump and whatnot. And yeah, and so speaking of those two, let's go over the next one, which is going to be Pepe, ticker symbol PEPE. And yeah, we can look at that one. The market cap for Pepe, that is going to be ranked number 33, market cap of about 3.9 billion. And so I imagine that did come down over the past week. And we can see that last week Pepe was at about 4.5 billion. Now it's at 3.9. Let's check out the price of Pepe. So the closing price on Friday, September 26th, was at 50938. So 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 3, 983, I believe, 983, 938. And so I'm down about 32% in that one. So again, just going to be doing a daily dollar cost averaging for Pepe. And then the next one we have is going to be Trump, ticker symbol, or the official Trump coin, ticker symbol TRUMP. Let's check out the market cap for that one. And the official Trump coin ranked number 65 at a market cap about $1.5 billion. And so that one most definitely came down over the past week. Last week it was at about 1.7 billion, now at 1.5. Let's check out the price of Trump. So the closing price on Friday was at, let's see, 7.59. And so with that, going to be doing the daily dollar cost average. And yeah, so I think that is fine for, let's see, for Trump. But then let's come over here just to kind of update, the dip level here. And I'm just going to copy this, so no dip by orders or anything. And actually, or wait, for AVAX, for these, I actually do need to place it like that because I'm doing the daily dollar cost average. And so for Pepe, I was saying 4 zeros and 11. Oh, I didn't even go over this for Pepe. So the next level is going to be like 4 zeros and an 8.5. But we'll just round that down to, where is it trading at now? Pepe, the low was 4 zeros. And yeah, 4 zeros, 5 zeros, and a 9. And I don't plan on placing an order there, but I do need to adjust that for Trump. Let's look at this one. This is like new all-time lows for Trump. Kind of crazy. So the low over here was $6.88. Let's just do $7. Or let's do that. And so that was hit last week, but I'm not planning on placing any orders. Just going to do this, do that. And so we are all set there. XRP, let's take a look at that market cap. And that is, I should note, ticker symbol XRP. And so looking over here, this is going to be ranked number 4, actually. So Tether has surpassed XRP again. And we can see that market cap is about $166 billion market cap. And so populating that here, we can see it did come down from last week. The market cap of XRP was around 178 billion, and now it's at 166 billion. And if we look at the price for XRP, the closing price from Friday the 26th was at 278.44, so 278.44. Looks like I'm up about 11%, but because I do want this to overthrow Trump and Pepe, I was, doing that $1 because eventually, or actually no, because Aave, I was doing the $2. Now that that's surpassed Pepe and Trump, it'll stay above them. And then I would switch the $2 to XRP. And let's look at the chart. I haven't noted that I should do $3 because then it would surpass them in the next week or so. But maybe I want to look at the chart, level it to the downside. I mean, is this finding support potentially at like 264? And so over here, let's do 265. That was actually not hit. The low that we saw was 269. So that's kind of funny. And yeah, but I guess I will leave that. XRP 265 did not get hit, but I'm going to adjust this to 250. And then I will do this. I'm going to do $2, not $3. And so I'm just going to copy this so it's yellow, but then change that to 2. And so that is for XRP to be getting that to over time surpass Pepe and Trump as far as my risk exposure. And unless now I'm going to do 3 because if I'm going to degen, I need to degen. So let's do that. And so now we need to see here, the next one on the list is going to be Uniswap, ticker symbol. Oh, no, the next one on the list, sorry, is Pudgy Penguins, ticker symbol PENGU. This is one I might actually do a dollar DCA on just because I like them, and I am going to be below the current price, I'm sure. But let's first check out the market cap for PENGU. That is going to be ranked number 59 over here with a market cap of about $1.8 billion, just a little shy of that. And we can see over here, it did come down from last week. PENGU was at 2.2 billion. Now it's, is that right? Did I get the right one there? Yeah, 2.2 billion. Now it's at about 8 billion. But let's check out the current price, or the closing price from Friday, I should say, for PENGU for Friday, the 26th. The closing price was 2.858 cents. So 2.858 cents. I am in the red about 10% since I am at negative 10%. And because I love PENGU, I'm going to start doing daily dollar DCAs. Nothing too crazy there. I just like PENGU. And so I am going to note the ones that I need to change, which is, Aave, that's going to 2. XRP needs to go to 3. Litecoin, and I guess I should check from last week. That should have been a 1 there, but AVAX was 2. I'm adjusting that. Okay, this is crazy. This is all craziness, but I need to do PENGU. Just noting it for myself, although it's noted here because it's in yellow, so that's redundant for myself. I don't need to be doing that. But yeah, the dip level that I had, or the support level that I had noted, was let's see, 3 cents. We did go lower than that, so let's look at the next level to the downside. That would be about 2.5 cents. So for PENGU, I will move up just because it's kind of like Pepe. Or, some of the, I guess like Pepe where you got all those decimals. But yeah, I'm going to make this 2.5. I don't plan on dip buying that, but I do plan on doing a daily dollar DCA. No harm in doing that. I like PENGU. It's fun. And it's degen ed. I've got to be a degen. Sometimes it's just, $1. The things that are really degens, these are the degen orders that, I probably should not be doing, but I'm probably, I need to check myself before I wreck myself, because I think that I'm spreading myself too thin over the next week, but that's fine. That's fine. This is the time when to go more heavy, and then when things start bouncing, then it's time to scale back. So need to be doing that right. But yeah, so that's PENGU. Not going to go any more into that. Let's go to the next one, which is Uniswap, ticker symbol UNI or UNI. And let's see the market cap for Uniswap. It's ranked number 20, about $8 billion. And so we can see that over here. This is, did go up last week. That doesn't seem to make sense. Uniswap was 5.8 billion, so I probably incorrectly copied that, is what I imagined, because Uniswap over here was like 6. I don't know. Has Uniswap gone up? We'll have to check the charts, and we'll have to see what the closing price was from yesterday. That's gone down from last week, so market cap couldn't have gone up. I can't imagine that it did. But yeah, the closing price from yesterday, the 26th, was, and actually, yeah, what's that? Did I get the right market cap there? The market cap for Uniswap, no, I was copying from Litecoin. There we go. If it wasn't wrong from the past, it's probably currently wrong. So, did go down, that checks out. Let's check out the price now for Uniswap. The closing price on Friday, the 26th, was at 7,624. So 7,624. That is red. I'm down 25% on this one. So I should probably do, I'm not going to do a dollar DCA because PENGU, I have excitement, conviction in. This is like, I don't know, this kind of territory. I'll wait. Maybe next week I'll be more aggressive with Uniswap, But yeah, let's consider the levels. So here I had 842. We clearly went past that. So let's consider the level over here. I'd say like 750 where it's currently at. It could be coming down lower to like 621, but I'll just do 750 here because I only got so much time and energy and I am pretty well spent. So actually I can do this like that. That's not adding an additional crazy decimal place. But yeah, for this one, not placing any orders. I'm just going to be chilling. I'm not as excited about Uniswap, and my position size is the size that I want it to be. Excuse me. And so, yeah, there's that. So let's just come back to the list here to look at Arbitrum, ticker symbol ARB, not to be confused with Arby's. But yeah, the market cap for Arbitrum is, let's see, ranked at number 49 at about just shy of $2.3 billion. So I'll paste that over here. Did come down over the past week, as I'm sure we are not surprised. And coming down here, we can see that the close from yesterday on the 26th was at a price of $42.52. So $42.52. Down more than 10%. This is one I do have more conviction in. And it is below 50 cents. You will note that I did dip by sub 50 cents. Now my average is 49 cents. Maybe what will be good, because this is lower than Uniswap, to then get this to be above Uniswap, I will do a daily dollar DCA for Arbitrum, because you've got to be buying the dips. And yeah, I guess when like Uniswap is more negative than Pepe and Trump, then I would, start to do that, to flip them sort of. But yeah, I think that this is, more or less fine. I feel good about this. But I need to then do this level for Arbitrum. Where could this be going lower? That would be around 39 cents. Be the level to the downside. Not going to be doing that, but I will be doing a daily dollar DCA for Arbitrum. So coming back to the list, this is what I plan on doing over the course of the next week. I am going to be broke next Saturday, but that is fine. And this actually makes me think, kind of going back to my thesis, I think that I need to open up another 0% APR credit card and start using that so I have more cash. But let's consider that I've gone over this, the percent P&Ls. We can see that everything has really just taken a nosedive. Maybe I'll just scroll up a little bit, or scroll down a little bit, so we can see that, a lot of stuff is negative. And and Ethereum, was at 99%, almost at a 2x, which would be 100%. I should have sold some then to buy back lower, but this is all about stacking for me, and so I'm just going to continue to stack, especially on these pullbacks. It's when, Ethereum gets above 2x for me, when we really start to see this not just be kind of a gradual trend up and to the right, but when we see this go vertical, that is when I will want to be taking some profits. But as for now, I'm just sticking to my thesis, just trying to do the daily dollar cost averaging and or dip buys when they do present themselves. But as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and check out the most recent ETH video update. I include a link in the description down below, as well as to ETHster, the basis for this thesis, and you can get an overview of my Crypto Corner Sat Stacker thesis down below. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you are having and have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, you guys. Bye.